that up a little bit. All right. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming out today. We've got a lot to do today, so we'll go ahead and get started now. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to swear in our new firefighters, and then we're going to conduct a little ceremony for our retirees. So let's start with Chief Hells, and we'll start. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming tonight for two special occasions for two new hires as well as 4 of our members who have put in a lot of time who are retiring tonight. Tonight we celebrate the arrival of 2 of our new firefighter paramedics, Brandon Presswich and Ann Dearden, to the Spanish Fork Fire and EMS Department. As the fire chief, I'm honored to have the opportunity to introduce you to these 2 outstanding individuals to our community. Ann's right here, if you just raise your hand, Ann, and Brandon. Let me say that the arrival of these 2 is a significant moment for our department. As we all know, the work of a firefighter and paramedic is critical to the safety and well-being of our community. These 2 individuals have chosen from a pool of highly qualified candidates, and we're confident that they will make a significant contribution to our department and the community here in Spanish Fork. Ann and Brandon, I want to extend a warm welcome to Spanish Fork Fire and EMS. You have chosen a noble and selfless profession, and we are honored to have you a part of our team. Your arrival comes at a time when our department is facing new challenges with growth, and we are confident that your skills, expertise, and dedication will help us meet those challenges head on. As firefighter paramedics, you will be called upon to respond to a wide range of emergencies, from fires and natural disasters to medical emergencies and accidents. You'll be the first line of defense in protecting our community, and your work will be critical to the safety and well-being of our citizens here. Being a firefighter paramedic is more than just responding to calls. It's about being a part of a team, working together to achieve one common goal. It is about being a part of a community, serving and protecting those who need it most. And it is about being a part of something greater than yourself, something that is truly meaningful and rewarding. Ann and Brandon, I want to assure you that you're joining a department that's committed to your success. We will provide you with the training, resources, and the support that you need to excel in your new roles. We will work together to ensure that you have the tools and knowledge that you need to respond to emergencies effectively and safely. Most importantly, we are here for you as a team. We will support you and encourage you and help you grow as firefighters and paramedics. We will be there for you when you need us, and we will celebrate your successes with you as well. In closing, I want to welcome you and your families to the Spanish Fork Fire and EMS Department. We're honored to have you a part of this team, and we look forward to working with you as you serve and protect our community. Thank you. Mayor Mike Mendenhall is here with us, and he is going to swear each of you in with an oath of office. So if Ann would please come forward first, and we'll have the mayor come up and conduct the swearing in.
As Pete says, millions of people watching when SFCN goes live like this. We're not live, but when we record something, millions of people watching, so they always want to get it right. So,
wonderful.
Yeah, we want to get this right. No pressure, millions of people watching. Did you hear that?
Oh, I did.
Okay,
yes.
All right. Okay, raise your right arm. I, Ann Dearden,
I, Ann Dearden,
do hereby declare
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah.
and the Constitution of the State of Utah.
I will faithfully and honestly discharge the duties of firefighter paramedic for the Spanish Fork Fire and EMS with fidelity. And I will serve the citizens of Spanish Fork to the best of my ability and to the highest level of integrity. Congratulations, Ann. Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll have your Ann's mom come forward and pin her badge on.
millions of people watching didn't make you nervous at all?
No, it's fine.
Okay, it's fine. You're a first responder. Nothing makes you nervous, right?
Oh, that's not true.
Okay, all right. Raise your right arm. I, Brandon Prestwich,
I, Brandon Prestwich,
do hereby declare
do hereby declare
I will support and defend
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah.
and the Constitution of the State of Utah.
I will faithfully and honestly
I will faithfully and honestly
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of firefighter/paramedic
of firefighter/paramedic
for Spanish Fork Fire and EMS
for Spanish Fork Fire and EMS
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
And I will serve the citizens of Spanish Fork City
I will serve the citizens of Spanish Fork City
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and to the highest level of integrity.
and to the highest level of integrity.
Congratulations, Brandon. Welcome.
Sir.
Brandon's wife, Shanda, will pin him.
Well, I'm grateful for this opportunity and the moment that I can take to share a few words, and I really don't have a whole lot to say, but maybe for a moment I'll speak to Ann and Brandon and just simply say welcome. You're joining a great department in a great city that has a long and wonderful history, and we do things right here. Of course, I'm totally biased, and I recognize that, but the community of the Spanish Fork is certainly unique, and the uniqueness of our community starts from within. And our fire and EMS has a great history of participating in that unique story that is Spanish Fork. And so we welcome you to this family and this great community. Maybe for a moment, I want to speak to and about Barbara and David and Lee and Eric. The history that we have with these four individuals that we get to celebrate today is amazing. Starting back in the 80s and the 90s and in 2000 as they came on to work with the EMS and fire departments, it was a very different department. Barbara just reminded me as we were chatting before that when she started, they were responding out of the corner of 4th and Main Street. Barbara went over here. So looking for Barbara right there, and she shifted on me. But out of the shack there, and they handed off pagers at 7 o'clock in the morning or at 7 at night when they switched out, and just a really different place, right, in the 80s. But between the four of them, as I think was mentioned, 132 years of service. 132. And that's incredible. As a community, we simply can say thank you. And I don't know that we can say that enough, and I don't know that we can say that loud enough. But at this moment, I can just simply say thank you. The service that has been rendered and what you have experienced is certainly amazing. I can think back through the years that I've been here, just about 19, and there have been some amazing calls and some distinct and unique circumstances. But if you go back through, I think, your experiences, you four, you have some amazing stories to tell. My guess is you've shared most of them, and sometimes your loved ones say, oh, come on, Mom or Dad, I've heard that already. But share them anyways, because you've experienced some amazing things, and your stories certainly make up the greatness of our community. So I hope you do share them, and I hope you keep sharing them. And for what you've experienced and certainly what you've given, we say thank you. To your families, I want to give a heartfelt expression of thanks as well. You sacrifice and serve just as much as pagers go off and you leave, your loved one leaves the dinner table or the 4th of July holiday or Christmas morning, whatever the case may be. That's happened, I'm sure, over the course of this collective 132 years. dozens and dozens of times. And so we say thank you to each of your families. Your dedication to our community has enabled this community to be served and to be saved many times. Several years ago, I really want to just maybe highlight one simple story, and forgive me, Lee, this is going to be a reference with you, but a couple of years ago, Lee responded to a fire call, and I think he didn't know at the time that he left a camera on his helmet. And for me, that was a really wonderful look into the experience of a firefighter. And specifically firefighter, because this day a house was on fire. And you could see this individual, and you know, it represents many, but in this case it was Lee, arriving at the station, getting his gear on, jumping in a car, and the emotions, the adrenaline that I'm sure that you all know. But as Lee was driving to this particular call, and you remember this well, he was thinking about the address, and you could hear him processing in this video, I think this might be one of my friends. And as you got around the corner, I think that's what you experienced, right? It was indeed an acquaintance of his. I don't know how connected, but it was a friend. And amazingly, and again, this happens with all of you as you do what you do, and we're so grateful for, the call of service just simply takes over, and to some degree the emotions of the moment kind of get put behind you, and you just do what you've been trained to do and do what you have done so many times. And the emotions that come from that, I think you end up dealing with them a little bit sometimes later, and maybe a lot later too. But for me, this was a really good peek into a day in the life of, if you will. And I was really grateful for that moment. And I think, he'd say, yeah, I can't believe I left that on. But I say, thanks for leaving that on, because it really helped to give a story of what you do. A great example and a great reminder of what you do. You simply serve. You drop what you're doing in a moment's notice, and you go do what you need to do to help some people in their worst moments, maybe their most tragic moments. And so to Barbara and David and Lee and Eric at this moment, I say thank you. Thank you to each of you for your dedicated service and to your hard work over this collective 132 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Seth. Again, tonight we celebrate 4 of our colleagues and friends and brothers and sisters in the fire and EMS service. Barbara Peterson Simpson, David Ellsworth, Lee Meekum, and Eric Nielsen. These 4 individuals have dedicated their lives to serving our community as firefighters and EMTs. They've selflessly put themselves in harm's way to protect and save the lives of others and the properties, and we are forever grateful for your service for the years that you've extended those, which is several. We reflect on your years of service and the impact that you've had on the community collaboratively. That is 132 years of service. You've been the backbone of our department, and your contributions are going to be missed. To our 2 retiring firefighters, Lee Meekum, 29 years of service, and Eric Nielsen, 21 years of service. We thank you for your bravery and dedication and your commitment to our Spanish Fork Fire and EMS department. You have been the epitome of what it means to be a firefighter and a volunteer. Your service has been invaluable to our community and the outreach areas of Utah County. You've been the first responder to countless emergencies, and your bravery and selflessness have saved countless lives and property. Your legacy will live on in the countless lives you have touched and the memories you've created, and I am sure each one of those individuals that you have impacted will never forget what you've done. To our 2 retiring AEMTs, Barbara Peterson and David Ellsworth, both with 41 years of service, we thank you for your compassion, your expertise, and your unwavering commitment to our community as well as those in the outlying Utah County areas. You have been the first responder to medical emergencies, and your expertise, I know, have saved countless lives. Your dedication to your patients, your profession, and have been an inspiration to us all here. You've impacted every one of our lives. You've taught many, many people on how to do this job and become better at what they do. We are grateful, and we are impacted by the legacy that you've left here with our EMS department. Barbara, David, Lee, and Eric, thank you for your service. Thank you for the short time that I got to spend serving with you. You've made a difference in so many lives here, and we are forever grateful for that time. We wish you all the best in your retirement, and we hope that you will continue to be a positive impact and an influence here, not only for our associations, but for our community, as I know you each will. Congratulations and thank you so much. We have some special gifts to give you tonight to recognize those years of service. And each one of you, I will call up individually to recognize you and then let you share, as well as any of your family members, a little piece of your time here as a volunteer EMT, part-time EMT, volunteer firefighter over the many years that you've served. So congratulations, we thank you so much. As we know, this job couldn't be done without our families. And as Seth mentioned, the tones drop and we drop everything to go save the lives or help the lives of somebody else that's in need, and really don't even take a time to say goodbye most of the times, or wake up in the middle of a deep sleep and then our spouse or our family wakes up and they're without a mom or a dad for maybe the first few hours of the morning, and how do they get ready without them? So these individuals know exactly what I'm talking about and how hard that can be on a family. So thank you to the families that have allowed you to serve with us. First and foremost, I want to give you the 40-year of service award. We were giving this to you at our banquet, and you weren't able to be with us. So 40 years of service. She did 41 total years of service, but this is your 40-year award, as well as your service pin that will be able to go on your uniform.
Thank you.
Next is a plaque. This plaque has our emblem in bronze upon it, with your name and 41 years of service to Spanish Fork Fire and EMS. Something that you can have as a memento, that you can share with your grandchildren of those times and experiences that you've served. And then lastly, this American flag was flown over Station 61 as well as Station 62, and then professionally and folded and placed in this for you to remember the times of service that you had at both one of our stations and the people that you served out of each one of those. So it says Barbara Peterson Simpson, 1982 to 2023, Spanish Fork Fire and EMS. Thank you. I'll give you Barbara said she wanted to say a few things, but do you want to say a few things?
Sure.
Okay, she said sure. All right, we're going to go with it. Thank you.
I can't talk too long because this is extremely emotional for me. I need to stay composed per my children. So, what an honor it has been to serve the city of Spanish Fork and the surrounding community. It has been a joy. It's been my life. My children know that. It's been an honor for me, and I am going to miss it. I've enjoyed every moment from when I first started, just seeing all the interesting changes and improvements into what we are today. I'm extremely proud of where we are, and always wanting to be proactive about getting us on the right foot and being where we need to be as the city of Spanish Fork throughout all the growth we've experienced. And I am feel humbled to have served you, and will always call this home. And thank you for that opportunity.
if you have a recollection, but has there been many of our members that served over 41 years?
There've been a
Besides
few,
a couple? So,
probably about 4.
okay. Well, you've added to 6 now, which isn't very common. 41 years of service is a tremendous amount. In fact, it's a lifetime, I would say. We've got you this plaque here, David, that's embezzled with a bronze emblem of our department logo. 41 years of service to Spanish Fork Fire and EMS, something that you can give to your children and remember all of those times that you served with our department. Hopefully they bring back good memories. As well as an American flag. David Ellsworth, 1982 to 2023. Again, this American flag was flown over Station 61 as well as Station 62, both of which you served out of and treated and cared for many people in those areas. So please use this as a memory of those times that you've taken care of the members of this community. We thank you so much for your 41 years. Thank you.
First got into this, you know, I was always out in camping and that, and so I kind of got into it for the citizens and for myself and family, being out and be able to help them along with the citizens. And it's been a long road, a lot of time spent from the family, and amazing that if you people really don't see what happens behind the scenes and what happens in their community. But I appreciate all the people I've met down the road, and there've been a lot of people, and we've had a lot of engagement, a lot of fun to go to conferences and that together, and been a great time. Thank you.
So I was just at the Utah State Firefighters Convention, and our association has the plaque for Eric, but he was awarded at that convention his 20 years of service award with the State Firefighters Association. Eric has served our community here in Spanish Fork for 21 years as a firefighter, and as you can see on his stars on his sleeve, many years of firefighting experience, not only here but also in the state of California with CAL FIRE. I think the impact he had in California, as well as the impact he's had here in Spanish Fork, is one that many people will always be thankful for, and you've impacted so many people. We've got you a nice little gift of appreciation for those 21 years of service that you've given our community. We've got you a nice bronze fire helmet. It says firefighter on it. You can keep as a memento. It says Eric Nielsen, 20 years of service, Spanish Fork Fire and EMS. Thank you. Look at that. As well as an American flag for Eric, 2002 to 2023. Spanish Fork Fire and EMS. Again, this flag was flown over both stations, 61 and 62, of which you serve the citizens out of. So thank you for your service. We appreciate you, and we hope you enjoy your retirement.
So I'm Summerlin Denagle. I'm Eric and Lori's daughter. I decided I would be the one to speak on behalf of my dad. I think I might be my dad's biggest fan of him being on the fire department of all these years serving the community of Spanish Fork, but maybe even rivaling my brothers. He started when he was 17 years old, back in Riverside, California, so 40 years to be exact. I will always cherish the things he taught me about fire, even though I wanted to play with it instead half of the time. I appreciate the hardworking man that he is and was for the department, helping the community, even on the calls that may have been harder. He was still there. He almost always showed up. Sometimes I was in the car, or me and my siblings, and the pagers went off, and we went and we waited or got a ride home. He was almost always there these last 20 years. He called it his playtime, LOL. As I got older, I was the one to always wonder what call he was at or where he went, and I would be coming down Main Street calling him up and telling about something I saw. I was quite literally always interested in what was happening, and my brothers always gave me crap for that. I appreciate him taking all these years doing something he loved to help out the community in the best way possible. He will always be a firefighter at heart. Thank you for your service, Dad. We love you.
I don't consider myself a public speaker, but the public speaking class I took from UVU at the Extension at Spanish Fork High School back in 2001. One of my topics I chose, controversial topics, was smoking in public. And my talk was so convincing, my professor was like, "Are you really seriously you taking this stand?" I'm like, "No, it's just the fact that it was very controversial, and that's why I picked it." Anyway, I do have some thoughts that I'd like to share and talk about. It took me 5 times applying for Spanish Fork City to finally get on. At the time, I was working for the U.S. Forest Service. I was a captain, and on July 24th, 2002, Joe Jarvis came up to the door of my truck and asked me, "Hey, did you get your application in?" And I said, "Joe, I have not. I've applied 5 times, and I didn't think I'd ever have a chance of getting on the department." And he said to me, "I think you need to get your application in." And so I did. Clyde Johnson, the chief at the time, had faith in me and hired me October the 3rd, 2002. Later, Jamie Chappell became the chief, then on to Brent Jarvis, then Eddie Hells. At the time I was hired, there was 3 other gentlemen that were hired: Cody Phillips, Joe Hickman, Jeff Perry, and myself. And as we were giving out our numbers on the department, I argued the point, why was I given 98? I felt like I'd had the senior most member of the department, and I should deserve 97. There's something about the numbers that meant, like seniority. The chief said, "We gave you your number based on your last name." So therefore, I was 98. In 1998, as my daughter had mentioned, I've been involved in excuse me. I thought I could hold it together. My daughter mentioned that I have a previous fire service in the state of California, also with Utah County, and obviously the Forest Service. My mind is full of pictures that many of you would not want to see and wish to forget. It takes a really strong, special person to continue. The average lifespan of an EMS person is 5 years. The trauma that we see on a daily basis can be very taxing and mentally troubling. In 1998, my brother Sean burned up in a tragic accident on I-15. It was then I knew that I would be able to, I became more leathered in my thoughts and my mind. It's not that I didn't have sympathy for what happened. I just knew then that I could continue to go on. The only thing that we could say is that he went out in a blaze of glory. I had many firsts with Spanish Fork Fire Department, and the first one I want to say is Marv Banks. He was a person to reckon with. He thought that he knew everything. And when I showed up and started to give him my thoughts on that I knew how to drive a truck and I knew how to pump the truck, he really pushed back until I could prove myself that I was able to do what I could do. First time riding on a ladder truck. The department I was with in California did not have ladder trucks. Rescuing a person from a burning house out on the lake shore. It was a shepherd's home. Me and Mark Banks were at the credit union and the pager went off. We ran back to the station. Kevin Barker, Mark Banks, myself, and Joe Hickman were on the first truck out. We get there and we noticed that there was a gentleman that was already deceased out in the front yard. And we knew that there was somebody still in the house. I was the lead on the nozzle at that time. And after having a knockdown on the fire, we were able to locate his wife in the house. And as I struggled to pick her up and then drag her out of the house, I was like, it's just better for me to just stand up. The smoke was about down to here, so I was like, and the main fire was already knocked down. So as I stood up and started to drag her backwards, I tripped over the threshold going out, and I fell. Well, in that moment of having fall and dropping her, it actually revived her to come back alive. She actually lived 3 more days. The rescue of a cat from a tree, I never thought that firemen really did that until were called out one time to rescue a cat out of a tree. The landing of a medical back helicopter, having the 100th anniversary of the Spanish Fork Fire Department in 2008, we were able to secure several trucks that had since long gone. And I know Bob, we were able to go down to Tishner Ford and get I don't know what year that truck was that Spanish Fork had, 47. And at minimum, we sanded down the back bumper and painted some chrome spray paint on there to make it look halfway good for the 100th anniversary parade down Main Street. Several times while on duty with the Forest Service, I had, because I was the incident commander on several calls, anytime I needed extra help, I would get Brent Jarvis on the phone and give him a phone call and let him know, hey, I'm going to need extra help. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Then they would have the request come out and get extra support. I was able to drive engine 62, that engine out there, from Florida to home. Secured 5 grants from the state of Utah to purchase wildland gear, and also then finding myself once upon a time in front of the finance director, Ken, of the city, explaining to him what this money was from the state of Utah and how we got it. I had the privilege of being the training captain for 4 years, at many times allowing rookie firefighters to drive the engines on their way home from training, and their eyes were just beaming of the happiness that they had, that they never thought that on the first day of their training that they would be able to drive a fire truck. I had the opportunity to train the trainer of the windmills, going and meeting with the company over here at the windmills in the mouth of the Spanish Fork Canyon and meeting with them and understanding their operations on how they worked and how they would rescue people out of those windmills in the event that they had an accident. During the transition time when we needed to up our game with Spanish Fork City and become wildland qualified, I had the opportunity to be the lead instructor for the wildland program. And as I taught the class, there was many times I made the mistake of calling out LCE&S. And I gave the wrong meaning of what that really meant. But in the end, LCES may have truly stand for locate, lookout, communication, escape route, and safety zones. The guys that said, locate cooler and establish shade. They still remembered that, but they still jokingly said that, but they knew that what it truly meant. As a volunteer, we missed many events with our families. We had a sense of not wanting to leave the community because there's a dedicated love, knowing that when the time came, when the pager went off, that the citizens of Spanish Fork City relied on us to be there. In the end, fellow firefighter Red Lapson would always say, you either evolve or you become extinct. And I think Spanish Fork City has a lot to say about the progress they are making at this time. Thank you.
So Lee served this department for 29 years. Not only did Lee and Eric both serve as volunteers and have to leave their families, but Lee also knows what it is to serve and have to leave his business as well, and at times lose money to come and be a volunteer to help the lives of those that were in need at the time. So not only was he a volunteer that left his family, he was a volunteer of our community that left his business and lost money to come and to support and help those in need. So thank you so much. I know that wasn't easy, and it's been a struggle for many, many years to have to do that, but you enjoyed doing it. So I remember the last fire we had, being able to be up here on this house fire in Somerset, manning and troubleshooting the ladder when we had an issue with it. Lee was able to know how to do that. He was an expert at operating those apparatus. And one of the coolest things that I saw Lee do, and I think there's a photo that someone took of Tyson, Shepard, and Lee having an American flag that was hanging off of this house, and going over and making sure that that flag was taken care of appropriately before we left. That was pretty special to watch, and to not only show your love for that individual, but for your love of this country. So thank you for showing me that, and I respect that. We have the same little mementos for you as well. A fire helmet, bronzed, says your name with 29 years of service in our fire and EMS department on the bottom. Hope that you will enjoy that, as well as an American flag that has been flown over both of our fire stations that you served out of and protected those citizens. So I hope that you look at those every now and again and remember the memories that you had and the level of service that you provided here. So it won't go unnoticed, and we will never forget it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So there's a few I want to thank right off. Brent Jarvis, keeping me in line when I first got in, making sure my head was on straight, chewing me out when I needed it, letting me know that we're all human. Marv Banks, he taught me so much. We'd spend Sunday mornings down training, washing city streets, learning the trucks. He probably taught me how to drive, sorry. But Marv is instrumental. Vern Jackson, for being my rescue partner for close to 30 years. Vern, we could read each other's minds. We knew what we each needed to do, and he knew when to stay out of my way. We made a really good team. There's so many others to thank. It's really hard to compress the years down. You hope that you made a difference. I know I made a difference for at least one, and that's the policy on life flight. It'll be a first. I don't think and I'm sure Eddie hopes that there'll never be anybody else that runs into a helicopter with an ambulance. Seth remembers that. That was quite a night, but even Ground and Life Flight made changes that were for the better in the end. It's been a great run. I'm going to miss the work. So thanks to everybody that I've served with. I appreciate it all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your service. 20 years ago, about this month, I was a nervous kid that called up my future, well, a girl's dad, and said, "Can we go to lunch?" And he showed up in uniforms, kind of like some of you have uniforms now. He was the chief of police, and I was at lunch to ask him about the chances of marrying his daughter. He wore a uniform. Pretty sure he wore a gun, and that went well because he agreed that I could ask his daughter for marriage. But then when I tried to impress him and say, "Yeah, and I'm thinking, maybe I'll go the police route, and look into law enforcement," and he said, "Don't be dumb. It's firefighters and EMS. That's where it's at. Don't be a cop." So I hope cops aren't watching this. Pete, do they watch Channel 17? Okay, all right. So sorry about that. No, hey, you guys, and what you do, obviously, the stories here, the emotion that we can hear come out of storied careers are certainly worthy of admiration. Admiration of your families, gratefulness of your community, and lauded and respected by the world at large. When I told my 6-year-old boy that he was coming with me today to a swearing-in ceremony of some new people and honoring some people that are retiring from the industry, he said, "We're not supposed to swear, Dad. What are we doing swearing people in?" And I said, "That's different. It's an acknowledgement. They're taking an oath. They're making a promise. They're making an important promise to serve and protect and help out people in Spanish Fork." And to a person, that's who you are. That's who, Barbara, that's who you've been. Lee and Dave and Eric, that's who you've been. You've been that way for your families. You've been that way for your community. And I hope you and your families wear some semblance of Spanish Fork on your chests, on your arms, on your hat forever, because you should be proud of the service rendered, because we certainly are. The city as a whole is in your debt, is in your family's debt for your willingness to run towards danger and not run from it. I think about personal experiences, and I think about the city council sitting with me here, Councilwoman Beck, Councilman Euler, Councilman Cardin. To a person, I know they have personal stories about probably each one of you showing up to our individual homes or businesses, our places, being in our lives where you've helped our loved ones out. And those are truly touching. That's something we'll never, ever forget. And to our new I call you recruits. You've been recruited, but now you're on the force. Welcome to Spanish Fork, the home of pride and progress. It's the home of pride and progress because of people you just heard from. They're proud of their heritage. They're proud of what they've done. They're proud of their community, and they should be. It's a good sense of pride. But you can see they talk about the progress of Spanish Fork, how this department has changed over the years, what's changed in their lives, and their adaptation of it. So
I tell that logo, I tell that motto all over the state, the home of pride and progress, and we take it into just about everything that we try to do, whether it's economic development or whether it's some of the most important work we do, which is obviously public safety and fire and EMS. And so again, from a person, but from someone who's lucky enough to represent the city for a few years as mayor, my heartfelt gratitude, my thanks to you, to your families, for service rendered. A few years ago, a story that I think epitomized what you guys do, and you could tell these stories over and over again, but when this story was told to me, it left an indelible impression, an impression on me, the council, the staff, my family. And it was one where you showed up, and they're all hard. I'm sure none of them are easy. But it was a story of one of you, some of you, all of you showing up on a call, and a young person, succumbing to depression and anxiety and trying to injure themselves. And the words that I'll never forget that I know you guys have said before, but it's something that I'll never forget, is that your mom's on the way, she loves you, and we love you. Can you imagine the impression you make on somebody when you say, we love you, we're trying to take care of you, we love you. And in that moment, boy, you're speaking for the city. You're doing collectively 45,000 people that call this home. You're doing their work. You're saying we love you to that individual, and you're trying to rescue them. You're trying to save them. And so thank you for being not only the business side of, I'm sure, what you have to compartmentalize and be in a business sense, but thank you for the human side. Thank you for being the good people that you are. The human side of it is something I'll never forget, and I hope you and your families don't either, because that is the success of the Spanish Fork Fire and EMS Department, is not only the professionals you are, but the human side that you are. So again, from the mayor, from the council, from Spanish Fork City as a whole, thank you. Thank you, we're in your debt. And to the two new recruits, welcome to what I consider the greatest department in Utah and in the country. Thank you.
Well, that concludes what we're discussing or going over today. So I just want to say one last thank you to Eric and Lee and David and Barbara. Thank you so much. I know that Brandon and Ann will pick up the torch where you guys have left off and keep responding to those calls and keeping our community safe. So thank you very much. And thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to the City Council and the Mayor and the City Manager to come and help. And please stay and mingle, have some refreshments, and get some pictures up here at the podium. We'll move the podium out of the way and we'll do some pictures up here. So please stay and enjoy the next little while.